We have talked about the line of best fit and how that goes right through the middle of our data. Now we're ready to talk about the linear regression side of this line of best fit and use it to make predictions. All right, so here is the graph, the scatter plot of our data, height versus weight. And you can see the equation for the line of best fit here in my graph. Now I can use this equation to predict values. Now there are two ways that we can predict values. We can apply the prediction to a value inside the range. I say realm here. A better word for that is range. Inside the range of the original data. And we're going to call that interpolation. So what that means is go look at your x variable, and your x variable starts at 62 and goes up through 76. So if I pick an x variable somewhere between 62 and 76, between the minimum and maximum, then I am going to be predicting a value somewhere in the range of this data. So predict the weight of someone who is 69 inches tall. Well, somebody who's 69 inches tall, if I look at a graph, there's 68, there's 70, 69 is right in the middle. How would I predict somebody's height? Well, I can just follow that up until I hit the line. Okay, that would be height of 69 inches. And right there on the line, that would indicate the weight, just below 160 pounds, right? So just looking at the graph, that's what I would anticipate. Now, let's actually do the calculation. How? There's the equation for the line of best fit. Y is equal to negative 173.297 plus 4.829x. Now, I am going to take my height of 69 inches, and I'm going to plug that in for x. Well, it's 4.829 times 69. That's going to be 333.201. Then I take negative 173.297 and add that to 333.201. And that gives me a weight of 159.9. Now, you remember when we looked at this graphically, we said it's going to be somewhere right around here, just below 160. That's exactly what we got with our calculation. So, if somebody comes along and they say, my height is 69 inches, that would be 5'9" if you want to know, have something to relate that to. If they say that their height is 69 inches, then following this equation, I would predict their height, that their weight is 159.9 pounds. Sweet, not bad. Now, I said there are two ways that we can predict. The first is interpolation. The second is extrapolation. Remember, interpolation said, I'm going to predict a value between the minimum and the maximum x values of the x values. Okay. But what if I want to pick something that is out here? Say someone has a height of 59 inches, or someone has a height of 84 inches. They are outside of the range of my height data. And we want to be extremely careful because extrapolation can often lead to large errors. So we're going to avoid these if at all possible. Let's do one anyway, just to show you what might happen. So someone comes along and they are 35.8 inches tall. You're talking about a child here, basically. And so at least that's the most common place where you would find somebody who is 35.8 inches tall. And you want to predict the weight of a child who is 35.8 inches tall. So we're going to follow the same process, take our equation, plug in a value of 35.8 inches for x, and that will give us negative 173.297 plus 172.878. That'll give us a weight of negative 0.419. Wait, what? We have a negative weight? Okay, extrapolation can often lead to these types of errors. This extrapolation is basically assuming this linear relationship continues forever, but it often doesn't. You often have a linear relationship that eventually flattens itself out. That's usually what happens and would be the case here with height versus weight as well. But extrapolation assumes that our line of best fit continues on forever. Be extremely careful with extrapolation. If you extrapolate close, for example, I want to extrapolate someone who is 60 or 61 inches tall, I could see reason for that. 50, 55 inches, be a little more careful. 45 inches, 40 inches, I would say stay away. Okay? So if you're close, you could get away with an extrapolation, but you've got to be very, very careful with extrapolation. And there are the two different forms of predictions. Interpolation, where the X value for your prediction is inside the range of your data, and extrapolation, where your X value for prediction is outside of the range of your data.